Okay, so it's time for power. I already got the couple switches installed for our light and the fan. And I'm gonna put these GFCI outlets in next. And then we've got some standard outlets to put in, one for down here for by the table. We're gonna have a little like coffee table, whatever, sitting here. I guess it wouldn't be a coffee table. I'm imagining sitting at the window here drinking coffee. But it's just a standard like little square glass table that we've got. We're gonna set that in front of the table, and anyway, we want an outlet there so we can have our computer there or whatever. And then an outlet here right next to the dresser so we can have our stuff charging on there. And then we've got an outlet here for the TV and the Roku or whatever we happen to use for a set-top box or whatever. That outlet's there just because I felt like we should have at least one outlet on every wall. So, and then we're gonna have some outlets down low, so like underneath the nightstands, so we can have alarm clocks or whatever plugged in there. And then the upper outlets, we're gonna actually have these USB charging deals with they're built-in USB charging things in the outlets. I ordered them. They said they were in the mailbox. Unfortunately, it looks like he brought them down to the post office. So I'll have to drive down there one day to get them. And then we've got another one behind the plastic here, just a standard outlet, because we're gonna have a little sitting area over here and an outlet there. So, you can plug in your laptop or whatever. And then we'll have a little table in the corner with a lamp on it and whatever. So if you're sitting here at night, you don't have to have the big overhead light on if you don't want. And anyway, so that's the plan. And then we've got our outlet up here. You can see the foam shooting through because we sealed everything up pretty good. I didn't do it on that other side simply because that's right up against the not rafter, the joist, the ceiling joist. So there's no need for it. Oh, and besides, it wouldn't come through from the ceiling or from above this anyway. Yes, I'm going to get to work now. Good morning, folks. So it's Monday morning and I'm making breakfast. Got some masala chai going on here, and this little mess is some wild rice pilaf and mashed potatoes mixed together, and I am going to throw it into this fun little waffle machine. It's one of these what do you call it, ceramic coated ones. We've actually taken just straight potatoes and thrown, like shredded potatoes,
throwing it in here, and it cooks it up just fine, and it releases good. Doesn't stick at all. It's amazing. Anyway, I'm going to try making a waffle with just mashed potatoes and wild rice pilaf. All right, well, that didn't turn out quite as well as I had expected or hoped or whatever. I had originally planned on putting some flour and oatmeal and stuff in with it to kind of hold it all together, but I thought, oh, the rice is kind of dry. It'll suck up some of the water and make the potatoes anyway. So it didn't quite work out. You can see the waffle patterns in there, but it didn't stick. So it's just there's a little bit of stickiness there, but nothing much. Wet rag and we can clean it up quick. But anyway, I've got more of this stuff. I'm going to try it with some flour and oatmeal later and see how that turns out. Well, there it is with our special gravy on it. Looks like a pile of, but it tastes fine.
Okay, so I've got air conditioning in here. It's performing wonderfully. It's like it I have it set to turn on at 9:30 in the morning and set to 68 degrees. By the time I got out here about 10 a.m., it was already down to 68 and sitting there. And it was about 80 outside. So yeah, and yesterday when I first got done installing the air conditioner, it was 91 degrees in here, and it took 25 minutes to get down to 68 degrees, so that's kind of special. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and wire up the power box because, as I'll show you in just a second, the air conditioner is running off of an extension cord right now. All right, guys, so here's what we've got wired up right now. We've got our 240 coming in. I didn't even bother hooking up the ground, but it wouldn't matter because some of the ground plugs are broke off on these extension cords along the way. We've got 12 gauge from the power building over there over to this cord right here, and then I ran out of 12 gauge cables, so this last little piece is a 14, but the AC hasn't used more than 5 amps, and even a 14 gauge cable is good for 15 amps. So anyway, it's good and it's doing pretty good. I'm going to punch a hole through the wall right here, and I'm going to move this pigtail into that breaker box, and then get things wired up so we've got 240 split phase inside the building, and that'll run the air conditioner and our TV and charge our cell phones, all that kind of stuff. It's great. Even though it's that cool inside the building and whatever, we've had like 0 precipitate come out here. So yeah, it's dry. It's like 5% humidity all day now. Well, that first waffle didn't turn out so good, so I had to try again. This time I added some oatmeal and flax seeds and some other stuff to it, and of course that turned out good. So we got some roasted Brussels on top, and I made up some like Thai peanut butter sauce, and then there's some of that Chinese ketchup on it, some sriracha. Okay, so other than getting the power line brought into the building, we're done with the panel. All the circuits are wired up and ready to go. This is still actually running off the extension cord hooked up to it, but we'll be changing that as soon as we bring power into here. And for now, I'm getting started on our floor. We've got the first 4 feet done. I decided to just put one row of the underlayment stuff down at a time. So figured it was better than tromping over top of it and whatever, and gives me a chance to clean up after every row. So this took about 2 hours, I suppose. Although I had to go get the flooring and bring it out here and stuff. So the next one should go quicker. I got half the floor done today. I'm going to wait on the other half because this little joint right in front of the door is just ever so slightly, I don't know, buckled, I guess, or whatever. It got wet a couple times, and so there's just a little tiny bit. I mean, it's just enough to feel. I mean, if I lay a board across it, um, it doesn't look bad. But I'm just afraid that over time, people coming in and out of that door, are going to put enough stress on the joints of this laminated flooring to cause the little lips that hold them together to break or crack or whatever, and then we'll end up with boards separating and whatever. So Harbor Freight sent it out last week. It should be here. No, it's supposed to be here tomorrow or Thursday. So when the belt sander gets here, I will go ahead and level this thing out good, and then away we go. I swear I had a belt sander, but I can't find it, so oh well. I have a planer. I was thinking about trying to use that, but I'm just afraid that on this OSB it'll just chip it up and make a mess. But floor's looking good anyway. I put my cover on my box. It sucks. I was gonna spray the cover when I was doing the walls, so it'd be the same color, but oh well. Probably it'll end up being better just leaving it the gunmetal gray. It doesn't look too much different. And we were talking about gunship gray, or no, battleship. That's what it was, battleship gray. Anyway, we'll buy a picture and throw it over that, and then it'll look better anyway. So I guess I'll be back to this in a couple days. All right, guys. Well, I came out to the power building this morning, and it was stinking and very warm, warmer than normal in here. And I poked my head around behind this toolbox, which was sitting in front of the battery, and this cell here, number 20, was steaming like crazy. So I grabbed my voltmeter, checked the voltage. It was sitting at like 5 something volts, and I'm reading the voltage off of its neighbor cells added together. Because I was pushing 50 whatever odd volts into it. So it was basically hitting about 2.4 or 2.5 volts on its neighboring cells. And then, of course, because there was only 23 good cells of the 24, this one was reading even higher. So I gave the battery company a call. They said it'll be warranted, blah, blah, blah. We'll get you a new cell out there. They were first talking about bringing the battery in, and then they figured out where we are, and they're like, how about we just send you a cell? I'm like, yep. So I went ahead and cut this cell out, just used a chisel to chop, well, not even a chisel. See, the best tool to use for a job is whatever you have on hand. This piece of scrap and little tiny hammer that came in a kit. Anyway, it's what I had sitting here, and I'm like, oh, let's do that. Well, you can see first I tried to use the roto zip, which worked, but it made a terrible mess. Yeah, the chisel with that little tiny hammer was wonderful. Plus, I knew I wasn't going to put too much force on it and break something. Anyway, that's what the guy at the battery company told me to do, was just chop them, and then tomorrow I'm going to bring the cherry picker out here, engine hoist, and put a strap around both those terminals, I guess, the interconnects, and lift this cell out of the battery so we can have it ready for them when they deliver the replacement cell. But all in all, it went well. I called them up. There was no question, so we'll see. I mean, obviously it hasn't arrived yet, so it could still go wrong, but I expect not. And I used a 4 gauge. What was this? What is this guy? My interconnect on here. Here, we'll grab another piece of wire. Cable, blah, blah, blah. 2 gauge. So good for at least 100 amps. So that gives me 5,000-ish watts pulling from the battery. So we don't generally use that much. And we just, you know, 'cause like during the day, of course, most of the power's, all of the power is coming from the solar. We can pull like 7 kilowatts and it's all solar. But if we pull a little bit more than that, we could pull maybe up to 3 kilowatts from the battery, I suppose, and then we'd be maxing out the inverters. Anyway, that was fun. So I guess one more thing solved. I didn't think I was gonna have to dig into this thing because you know, it was a brand new battery. But I'm glad I bought a new one and had a problem rather than buying one of the refurb jobs for $1,000 less and having no warranty, you know? All right, I'm gonna go. I think it's dinner time now. Well, I just couldn't let it rest. I had to pull that cell out, but you can see maybe. Actually, you know what? It doesn't look that bulged. At first I thought it was, but it looks pretty decent. So anyway, it is ready for them to receive. So I was able to just wrap that wire around it, and I lifted it out, and as I was pulling it up, Lisa held on both sides just to kind of keep it from sliding back down so I could get, you know, adjusted and keep pulling it up. Anyway, there we go. Now we're ready for our new cell. Our belt sander arrived from Harbor Freight, and I went ahead and sanded down these little ridges between the boards, basically just from it getting wet a few times when it rained. So we had this little spot here and that spot over there. And that was really the only parts of the whole floor that were at all questionable. And even these, I think we could have probably put it over and it'd have been fine. But I'm kind of afraid that over time, you know, these boards have just this little tiny, well, yeah, I guess this little tiny notch on this side with a little piece that hangs over, and then on the other side here, it's got this little tongue, but I mean, it's like really thin. So, you know, it's pretty strong when you get 4 feet, well, or 14 feet of it together. But I think that if it was rocking right here, you know, and somebody steps on this side and then they're stepping on this side, or, you know, you're just standing there, I think it could have ended up cracking that little wood tongue, but I don't know. Anyway, stuff's going in pretty good. I like the look of it. And then I think what we're gonna do is take our planer and clean up some pallet wood, get it all down to the same height, and then we'll stain it and tack it up in here. And I think that'll look good. I don't know, we'll see. Lisa was suggesting we just paint it, and maybe we'll go that route, because then we just, yeah, I don't know, we'll see. Okay, the floor is done. Managed to get the last row in without the little special tool. I just took the screwdriver right there and a utility knife. I set the utility knife against the wall and used the screwdriver to pry and just kind of force the board in to the, the floorboard into the next board over, because obviously you can't get a hammer into that last little spot there. Anyway, turned out well. I guess I'm gonna go in and edit my little video here and put it up, and then tomorrow, I don't know what we're gonna get into tomorrow. Suppose we'll start forming up our shop finally. So I guess I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye.